Hey, hello, welcome to Business Coder. Today we're going to discuss how to make a system tray application where you can design your own custom UI for your system tray and not to use the OS default menu. It is going to be purely based on Electron and JavaScript and based on the principle that we are just going to spin up a new window with the specific size when you are clicking on a system tray. So without any more discussions, let's just jump on the code and start making our system tray window. As you can see, here is our code base. Let me just make it a little bit more bigger. This is our code base that we left from the last time. We had just spinning up the actual Electron window instance with the pretty standard React app, just to demonstrate how we can integrate, create React app with the actual Electron application. But today we are going to just tweak a little bit the codes on both sides and add a new window implementation in order to show custom system tray window on top. So the actual example is coming from the Dropbox or other type of application that are specifically designed to work over system tray. For example, I have here Docker application which spins up the actual standard OS based system tray menu, which is pretty standard in terms of implementation. You are just defining a menu and the OS itself fills up the other parts of the UI, including like theming, font size, etc. But in terms of applications like Dropbox or this Pomodoro principal worker TickTick, they actually designed this specific window customly, and there is no integration specifically defined for system tray. They just opening up a new window with the specific sizes and design to a specific position by detecting where is your system tray actually located. So same way we are going to define our new window, which is going to be a smaller than our usual window, and the actual location is going to be on top or on a bottom based on your system tray location. So we can just calculate that because Electron obviously giving that all positioning, and it should be not that hard, at least. Yeah, so let's just jump on a code and understand what we have right now. So this is pretty standard definition of Electron application. We have here window creation process going on and loading index.html file where our React app is built, and there is no that much of functionality right now. And we actually can try out here. I'm just typing yarn build. Oops, we don't have that script right now. Okay, so what we have here is, yeah, I remembered. We left here yarn build web, which compiles all our UI components with the create React app into a single bundle and assigned to index.html. Also, we have a build desktop which compiles all Electron.js based TypeScript files and moves them up to a public folder in order to have a single folder access for our Electron.js application. So I'm going to type yarn build desktop. And the actual final command, as you remember from our last video, we just have to yarn start desktop. And for that, we should be able to see our desktop application spinned up like this. Let me just bring that up. This is our desktop application. So what we are going to do right now is just to create a system tray. So right now, let's just kill this. We don't need this right now. And as you can see, we are going to make another window for this Electron application. So obviously, let's make a separate file. Let's call it tray window.ts. This file is going to be representation of the actual tray-based window, and I have already predefined code snippets just to make it way more faster to understand. So let's just copy and paste the actual standard things. So what we are actually going to use is default sizes for our window and the positioning, what kind of margin is going to have over a system tray. This is pretty standard definition. Of course, you can have some kind of configuration file just to keep this, or based on your environment or build setup. So this is totally configurable. For now, it's just defined, and I'm assuming that later on, if we will move forward with this, we can definitely keep that static, because most of the system tray application do not allow you to resize their window sizes. So it's pretty standard to keep that. So another step is actually initiating the system tray itself, which is going to be the main entry point for our system tray window. So first of all, the standard Electron.js system tray you need to have some kind of an icon just to display. As you can see on a Mac and same on the Windows, you have to have some kind of an image representation for your system tray. So for that, I just made a PNG file from our business coder logo. It's not going to be a pretty one, but you can definitely get some idea how you can tweak that, because the system tray icon itself has to be specific formatted, and it should be definitely transparent PNG or icon file. So the actual image going to be inside the public folder. Here is our icon that we are going to integrate. So the public folder itself accessible by default inside our Electron.js application with dir name, because the Electron itself running from that directory, and we can access also index.html file from there. So another important configuration is obviously making a new window, as we discussed already. So the actual system tray window is a custom, another type of Electron.js window, which is just the definition for our use case. It's not OS-based window that we can create. We just tweaking that up it's basically a hack around the ability of making a new window over a system tray. So this is default window creation parameters or options that we're defining with our constant or static definitions on the top. So by default, we are not showing a window because when our Electron application starts, it is not common to show up a SystemTray window at the same time. So we'll wait until user will click that SystemTray icon in order to trigger that window. So we are disabling also window frame coming with the custom our framing. So we are not going to keep that close, minimize, or maximize icons on the top of window that OS provides by default. Also, we are disabling that this window is full screen, it couldn't be resized, etc. So all that standard parameters that most of the windows coming by default. Also, this is one of the most important parts. We are going to make our window a transparent one. And you should keep that in mind, that when you are not making it transparent, it is going to ship with the white background by default if you are not filling that up. That's why we are making this window transparent, and we are making our own CSS styling around the actual body of HTML that Electron loads up for this window. Otherwise, you wouldn't see anything, because when you are making a window transparent and you don't have any background set up on your HTML, it's not going to show up. I had these issues previously, and I just spent a couple of hours understanding why window is not showing up. And the reason why I just put it transparent and couldn't see it, but it was working pretty fine. And also, as a SystemTray window, it should be always on top. So it just OS functionality by default. We obviously disabling also SystemTray default menu that OS providing, because we are not going to have any type of configuration menu for this window. So this is just we'll come back to this later on, but generally we are just defining what file is going to be loaded up by default for this SystemTray. It is the same index.html file that we have for our React application, but the only change here is that we are going to use a routing URL parameter, which comes over hash. In this way, we can have two separate UIs for the same Create React App application. One is for the standard window, and another one is just for SystemTray. So we can just define that as a React router and render a different UI when application boots up or SystemTray menu is activated. Next up, this is having a clickable event, click event on our main SystemTray icon. And when we are going to click that, it's just going to toggle a window. That's it. So that's pretty straightforward. There is no that much just to tell, because the way Electron events are working is just a pretty standard process to do. We are just defining a click, and inside that click is just event handler that calls a function. That's probably it. So inside this, if window is visible, we're hiding, or if it's not visible, then we're showing a window. So there is no that much going on here. But the actual logic, and I'll say the actual trick here, is aligning a window properly. So for aligning a window, we actually have a couple of methods. We can get a SystemTray location, and the actual SystemTray location combined with our defined window bounds are going to give us the specific position that we are going to show up for our window, and it's totally configurable. It based on just our needs. So let's just look on how we actually calculating. It's not going to be deep diving into that, but you kind of going to get some idea later on when you will have some time to make on your own, or just look over the code. So this is basically the calculation of the actual positioning. So whenever we got SystemTray position, window size, the actual screen size, and SystemTray margins over the top or over the bottom, we are going just to calculate and understand if it's on the top, if it's on the bottom, based on the OS configuration that it is coming up over Electron. We are going to get X and Y specific coordinates that we have to align our window there. Yeah. So that's mostly it for making a SystemTray window, but we are not done yet, because the actual SystemTray window should be initialized over our main Electron.js file, because when the Electron application starts, the main function that is going to be called is app on ready, and here's the create window, which is the default callback. But we are going to change that, because right now for our application ready functionality, there is more things that going on. So what we are going to do is we are going to make our window the main default window for our application. This is probably going to be some kind of like get started window when you will have some kind of a configuration to do, and then we are going to init our SystemTray. Let's just import that. Okay. So right now we actually ready to put up our application here. So we don't have anything else for now. So what we actually going to do, let me just check. Do we have all dependencies? Probably yes. Okay, so for running it is the same process. We are going just to start our desktop application, and hopefully it just starts up without any issues. Oops, there is an issue. Let me just bring up here the actual window. Oop. Yeah, so I don't know if you can read this, but there is some kind of a type error or a processing argument. It seems like, oh yeah, our SystemTray icon actually does not exist in our final build directory. This is because I copy pasted this SystemTray icon inside the public, but I haven't done create React app build, so that it's not bundled with the entire public folder. So let's just build the web. This is going just to package the all of the files inside this public directory, and it's going to ship that into build folder. And later on we can just start our desktop application. Hopefully this time it will just pick up that SystemTray icon. Yeah, so here is our SystemTray icon, and you can see that. And when we are clicking that icon, oh, okay, it appears. I haven't thought about this, but yeah, let me just switch recording to another screen just to show you that. Yep, I switched to my another desktop. It seems like Electron by default starting up for that specific window, and it's not switching. Probably there is some configuration that I have to do in order to switch over the monitors for SystemTray Window. It is definitely about the positioning, but for this window here, you can see that we have our pretty standard React app running here, and we have our SystemTray. And when I'm clicking the SystemTray icon, you can see that there is another window that popped up. This is our this smaller window that we just made, a tray window. And the only thing that right now we have to do is just to make our React configuration in order to handle properly the actual routing. So let's just do that quickly, because there is no that much that we have to handle there. It's pretty standard React routing stuff. So what we actually going to make to handle this process is we are going to edit our app.tsx file in order to make the actual routing, and for that we have to have a React Router DOM package. I believe we don't have it installed yet, so I'm typing yarn odd just to make the entire process more transparent. So we are going to change a little bit our app.tsx file where we have our main application entry point. These changes more involve about making a routing and splitting our main application into multiple parts that are going to handle the actual routing and UI switching for SystemTray and the actual main window. So what we are going to make right now is make a folder called apps. This is totally on your decision, but usually I'm just making a different app folders, and based on their I'll say types, they are going to have different component configurations, and I'm making here index.tsx, which is going to be our main window application. That's why I call it that main. So I'm going to leave this same as we have our React application default create React app UI with the same styling, no changes there right now. And I'm going to make also tray folder, which is the main system tray. Okay. Which is the main system tray boot up UI. And this one is going to be a little bit more simpler. We just want to understand if it's going to work or not. So we are just making default like title text just to see that window showing up. And another pretty important thing is that we are going to make our entire body as a background white, because as you remember, when you are building a system tray application and it is loading up as in a transparent mode, it's not going to have any background, and the window itself going to be fully transparent. So for that, we are just going to have a defined background. Of course, we are going to change that like later on when we'll have some design here. But right now, we are going over this code like pretty simplified, because we have defined our tray window initial file as a hash-based routing. You actually don't have other way for loading up the Electron file, because with the file-based URLs you can only change a hash for making a routing for them, because path parameters is actually going to be handled as a standard files which are doesn't exist. So that's why we're changing a hash. And later on, when we'll have multiple pages inside each window, they're also going to be different routes assigned over path inside the hash. So most of the like Electron applications are like that. They are routed over hash, and it's pretty standard thing just to handle that. For the actual routing, we are using a hash router. This is a default, I would say, default component for React Router DOM, and we are not changing anything. We're just defining a path that is going to be a tray application that we made up, and another path is going to be a default for our React main application. So that's mostly it. Let's just try starting it up. So first of all, we have to build our web application because we had a lot of changes there. React is going to create a React app, is going to bundle that in a single file, and we actually loading the same index.html file, but with different routing over a hash. So it's going to be boot up once, and the catch is that we'll have like different UI applications there. And yeah, as you can see, there is a like SystemTray window, and we have our main application window. So they are completely different UIs in terms of the apps, and we can later on like design and make custom functionalities with each of them as a completely different set of UI components. So that's it, guys. Hope you are enjoyed and hope you are following my channel. Please subscribe, like, and hit that notification bell icon in order to receive a notification when there is a new video that coming up. See you.